Good morning, distinguished guests, and importantly, the 1,400 students from our city schools. Welcome on behalf of Newcastle's public, Catholic and independent school communities to the 56th Annual Newcastle Combined Schools Anzac service. Newcastle's 3 school communities have come together each April for 56 years as one to commemorate Anzac Day. Our aim is to give you, our fellow students, a greater understanding of why we commemorate Anzac Day.
Anzac Day traditionally commemorates the sacrifice of members of the Australian and New Zealand Armed Forces who have served and those who died in all wars and peacekeeping operations. It is held on the anniversary of the landing by the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps at Gallipoli in Turkey almost 95 years ago on the 25th of April 1915.
This year's subcommittee has chosen the story of the World War II sinking of the Australian hospital ship Centaur as the theme for today's service. By mid-1942, Australia was under a direct attack. Darwin, Broome and Derby were bombed by the Japanese Air Force. The Japanese army attempted to capture New Guinea in the famous Kokoda Trap campaign. At sea, Australian and US naval forces defeated the Japanese invasion fleet in the Battle of the Coral Sea. The threat of attack by Japanese submarines, however, continued. Inside Sydney Harbour, midget submarines torpedoed the Royal Australian Navy depot ship HMAS Cutterbull, killing 21 sailors. Newcastle, our city, was also attacked. The guns at Fort Scratchley returned fire at the submarine and frightened it off. This was the first time in Australian history our coastal guns were fired in anger at an enemy surface target. Out at sea, along the Australian coast, the ships that carried coal, iron ore and supplies became targets for the Japanese submarines that raided our coast. On Wednesday the 12th of May 1943, the Australian hospital ship Centaur left Sydney bound for Port Moresby in New Guinea to pick up casualties from nearby battlefields. On board were 75 crew of the Merchant Navy, including 1 ship's pilot, 64 medical staff, including 12 nurses of the Australian Army Nursing Service, and 149 men of the 2nd 12th Field Ambulance, with 44 attached personnel heading for a tour in Papua New Guinea.
Mum, I'm so sick of taking this blue bag to school every day. It has so much junk in it, like a change of underwear, a book, a pencil, a packet of biscuits, a box of chocolate, and even a soup cube.
But somebody ate my chocolate.
That chocolate was in your bag for a very good reason. It's hard getting things these days. Butter, milk, sugar, meat, tea, and chocolate. What are you going to do if the Japanese invade Newcastle or an air raid comes and you have to be sent straight from school to somewhere far away, like Tamworth, on a train? It's a long time to go without food. You have to be sensible. Your father hasn't been able to buy petrol for the car for weeks. Things are getting tough around here.
Mum, the power's back on.
Finally, we can listen to the news. That's the 3rd power cut this week.
We begin this bulletin with the news that a search plane located survivors from the Australian hospital ship Centaur that was sunk by a torpedo fired by a Japanese submarine off the coast of southeast Queensland 2 nights ago. 65 survivors were then dragged from the shark-infested waters by sailors from the United States warship USS Mugford. Many were seriously injured with broken bones and burns. They had been in the water for 36 hours.
12th of May 1943, 332 persons on board Australian hospital ship, the Centaur.
Left Sydney unescorted, indifferent with status at age.
Ship of Mercy,
Travelled to Cairns and then Port Moresby and Papua.
to bring back wounded.
According to the Hague Geneva Convention, the Centaur was appropriately marked. 1.3 metre green bands on both sides from bow to stern. 3 large red crosses on the hull of both sides.
2 large red crosses on either side of the tunnel lit by an internal electric light.
I was the only female survivor. Sister King was apparently killed by the debris. The 11 other nurses are gone.
Survivors recovered. It's hot.
Severe burns and internal injuries.
Taken by sharks.
One party of 22 had a raft, which they named from the top of the deck out to the lifeboat, which they lashed together with electrical light wiring.
Her example of high courage and fortitude did much to maintain the morale of her companions during their ordeal.
and welcome to tonight's Newcastle television news. I am Brianna Taylor. It's 5 days until Christmas and sales have gone through the roof. Food items and last-minute presents have had customers frantically running through all major shopping centres. Sorry, 1 second. In breaking news, this just came in. The search for the Centaur has ended.
What? My pop was on that ship. Your great-grandfather.
Today, on the 20th of December 2009, a major event has marked history. The AHS Centaur that was sunk off the southeast coast of Queensland was discovered by the search team and marine crew of the Seahawk Spirit.
They only started that search, a week ago. They've done really well.
The ship was found at 2,059 metres below sea level on a very rugged seabed.
During the war, the Centaur was hit by a Japanese submarine, which caused it to sink. The ship was only crewed by merchant seamen, just like the coal ships in the harbour.
Your grandfather died when the ship sank. His body has never been found.
After the sinking, she was awarded the George Medal for her bravery on the ship.
That's pretty cool.
It is. The search for the Centaur has taken 66 long years. Today's really going to go down in history.
Newcastle is very proud of its military heritage. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Mark Wattis from Wallsend, a grandson of Private Ernest Wattis, who served in the 2nd 12th Field Ambulance, Australian Army Medical Corps, and lost his life on board AHS Centaur on that fateful night of 14th of May 1943. Please acknowledge the service to our nation of Private Ernest Wattis. I am also pleased to introduce Dr. Betty Capper, Secretary of the Royal Newcastle Heritage Trust. Dr. Capper worked as a nurse with Sister Ellen Savage and has written a biography of her life. Dr. Capper also provided us with valuable insights about life as a student at Newcastle Girls High School during the war years. Please show your dedication to Dr. Betty Capper.
Careful, Claudia. What? Ah.
You will be aware of the cadets in uniform standing on the stage, but you may not know why they are here. I call upon the Guard Commander, Cadet Sergeant James Jenkins of 211 Army Cadet Unit Newcastle. He will explain the role of the cadets in today's ceremony.
You may have noticed the 4 people in Army uniform standing on the stage. They are cadets from 211 Army Cadet Unit based at Adamstown. You might be wondering, what are they doing? These 4 people and I are members of what the armed services call a catapult party. Traditionally, a catapult party is a raised structure upon which a coffin is placed for display before burial. A catapult party may also be used on ceremonial occasions like today and Anzac Day as a shrine of remembrance. 4 armed sentries guard it as a sign of respect. There are also 2 flag orderlies on the stage that will lower and raise the flags.
We now come to the time in the ceremony where the traditional elements of the Anzac service are performed. The first is the laying of tributes. Flowers have been traditionally laid on graves and memorials in memory of the dead. Wreaths as a symbol of honour are also used. Sometimes books are presented as a tribute instead of a wreath and are later given to libraries. Instead of wreaths or book tributes, single red poppies, also known as the flower of remembrance, will be laid on the Australian flag in memory of those who sacrificed their health, their strength, even their lives, that we may live in a free country. While the tributes are being laid, a bagpiper will play a special Scottish tune for mourning and remembrance called The Lament. I invite the Lord Mayor, Councillor John Tate, and Lady Mayoress Mrs. Cathy Tate to lay the first tribute on behalf of the citizens of Newcastle. which is named after our city. Seaman Stuart Davison is 22 years old. Sapper Ethan O'Connell, representing the Australian Army, serves with the 8th Combat Engineer Regiment based at Adamstown. Sapper O'Connell is 19 years old. Aircraftsman Douglas Bell, representing the Royal Australian Air Force, is a member of the 381 Expeditionary Combat Support Squadron based at the RAAF Williamstown. Aircraftsman Bell is 18 years old. Mr. Roger Pryor, Senior Education Director on behalf of the Department of Education and Training, Hunter's Central Coast Region. With Mr. Jared Mowbray, Assistant Director on behalf of the Catholic Schools Office, Maitland, Newcastle Diocese. And Ms. Annie Peter Lindsay from Avondale High School on behalf of Newcastle's Independent Schools.
The next part of the ceremony is the reading of the Ode of Remembrance. This is a verse taken from a longer poem called For the Fallen by Lawrence Whitman. It was selected in 1919 to unveil a monument in London. Australians present thought it was so good they would use it at their remembrance ceremonies at home.
They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemned. At the setting down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. Lest we forget.
We will now hear the last post. The last post is played with a bugle and marked at the end of the soldier's day. The last post has been incorporated into funeral and memorial services as a farewell. It symbolises that the duty of the dead is over and that they can rest in peace.
You guys, down the last post.
Please bow your heads so that we can have 1 minute's silence. This is a sign of respect to those who gave their lives for our country and to think about why we're here. Look towards the flagpoles. In a moment, you will see the flags being raised to the mastheads. While this is being done, the bugler will play Reveille, which is a get-up call. It symbolises an awakening of a better world.
Bugler, down Reveille.
Please remain standing and join the Macquarie College Vocal Ensemble to sing the Australian National Anthem. Please remain standing for the departure of the catapult party.
featuring an art competition as part of the service. The theme of this year's competition was to depict surviving the sinking of the Australian hospital ship Centaur, or living in the wartime environment of Newcastle during 1943. More than 200 entries were received. The Newcastle Permanent Building Society has generously provided prizes of savings accounts to the first 3 place getters. Mr. Michael Leach, Chief of Marketing of Newcastle Permanent Building Society, will make the presentation to winners. I invite the Lord Mayor, Mr. Michael Leach and Mr. Ray Bennett to join me on stage. The third prize is awarded to Liam Bagwell, a Year 4 student from the Glendon School. The title of Liam's work is Waiting, Watching, Hoping. The second prize is awarded to Jacana Granger, a Year 6 student at Talara Public School. The title of Jacana's work is Quenching the Fire. The first prize is awarded to James Walker, a Year 5 student at St Patrick's Primary School at Swansea. The title of James's work is Sinking of Hospital Ship Centaur. Please congratulate the winners of the 56th Annual Newcastle Combined Schools Anzac Service Art Competition. Mr. Reach, I invite you to speak on behalf of the Newcastle Permanent Building Society, sponsors of today's service.
Lord and Lady Mayoress, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and young ladies and young gentlemen, it's an honour to be today representing Newcastle Permanent, the 56th Annual Combined Schools Anzac Service. Today's event should remind us of the great Anzac values of mateship, respect, duty and a fair go, values which we can all use in our own lives. And once again, to all the students who performed and participated today, congratulations on a job well done. You've provided another stirring tribute to the Anzac tradition.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. I invite Mr. Ray Bennett, President of Newcastle District Council of RSL sub-branches, to speak on behalf of the ex-service community.
Lord Mayor, Lady Mayoress, representatives of our major sponsor, Newcastle Permanent Building Society, on behalf of all the ex-service community of Newcastle and Hunter, I confidently say you have done us proud in this endeavour, and I am sure your school, your parents and your community must think the same. You make us old veterans proud to be Australians, and we know the phrase, lest we forget, is a promise you will forever keep. Well done and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I invite the Lord Mayor, Councillor John Tate, to speak on behalf of the people of the City of Newcastle.
Good morning everybody. We've been treated to a wonderful service once again. I'd like to congratulate all the students who participated in this year's Schools Anzac service. I'd like to acknowledge their hard work and commitment to the service of which has become such a successful event in the lead up to the commemoration of Anzac Day. Ladies and gentlemen, Newcastle City Council is very pleased to join with the local school communities, the ex-service community and indeed the Newcastle Permanent Building Society, and thank you to the Newcastle Permanent Building Society and all the sponsors who contributed to the objective that's been achieved today, and that is the annual Newcastle Combined Schools service. Last, can I say to you, and I encourage you to attend an Anzac service on Sunday 25 April. It will be the 95th anniversary of the landings of Gallipoli, where indeed they did the best they could. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, distinguished guests and fellow students, this concludes the 2010 Newcastle Combined Schools Anzac service. Thank you for joining us for this special Anzac commemoration. Students, please remain seated until advised when to move by your teachers or supervisors. You will be escorted to the bus pickup zones in King Street. Kindly take your programs with you.